Max Eastman lived a life of profound change and unwavering conviction. He was a man who fearlessly questioned his beliefs and embraced new ideas. Born in 1883, Eastman grew up in a family steeped in social activism. His parents were both ordained ministers. His mother was a pioneer, becoming one of the first women in the United States to hold this position. This background instilled in Eastman a deep sense of justice and a passion for challenging the status quo. Eastman's intellectual journey took him from the heart of radical socialist circles to becoming a staunch advocate for free markets. He was a complex figure who defied easy categorization. His life and work offer a fascinating window into the intellectual currents of the 20th century. Eastman's story is a testament to the power of independent thought and the importance of engaging with diverse perspectives. After graduating from Williams College, Eastman pursued a PhD in philosophy at Columbia University. He gravitated towards the vibrant intellectual scene of Greenwich Village in New York City. It was here that Eastman found his voice as a writer and activist. He immersed himself in the world of radical politics, socialism, and literature. Greenwich Village was a hotbed of radical thought. It attracted artists, writers, and intellectuals who challenged conventional norms. Eastman thrived in this environment. He engaged in passionate debates about art, politics, and society. He became a leading voice in the socialist movement, advocating for social justice and economic equality. In 1913, Eastman took the helm of the Masses, a leading socialist magazine. He transformed it into a powerful platform for dissent. Under his leadership, the Masses blended radical politics with art and literature. It featured contributions from some of the most prominent writers and artists of the day, including Sherwood Anderson, Floyd Dell, and Upton Sinclair. The Masses became known for its provocative content and its unwavering opposition to World War I. Eastman believed the war was an imperialist conflict that would only benefit the wealthy elite. The magazine's anti-war stance brought it into direct conflict with the government. Eastman faced multiple indictments under the Espionage Act for his anti-war writings. He was acquitted each time. Despite these legal challenges, the Masses continued to publish its dissenting views. However, the government's pressure eventually took its toll. In 1918, the periodical was forced to shut down. The 1930s marked a turning point in Eastman's intellectual journey. The Great Depression and the rise of totalitarian regimes in Europe forced him to re-examine his socialist beliefs. He grew increasingly disillusioned with the Soviet Union under Stalin's rule. The horrors of Stalin's purges and forced collectivization shook Eastman to his core. He could no longer ignore the stark contrast between the promise of socialism and the brutal reality of its implementation. In 1941, he was hired as a roving editor for Reader's Digest magazine, a position he held for the remainder of his life. Eastman's doubts about socialism deepened as he delved into the works of economists like Friedrich Hayek and Ludwig von Mises, and they eventually became friends. Hayek and von Mises were leading voices in the Austrian School of Economics. They argued that socialism was fundamentally flawed. They believed that central planning was inefficient and ultimately led to tyranny. Eastman found himself drawn to their arguments. He began to see the free market as a more effective and just system for organizing society. Eastman's friendship with Hayek and von Mises played a pivotal role in his conversion to free market advocacy. He engaged in lively debates with them. He absorbed their ideas about the importance of individual liberty, limited government, and the free market. Eastman came to believe that socialism's emphasis on collectivism stifled individual creativity and initiative. In 1955, Eastman published Reflections on the Failure of Socialism. This book marked his definitive break from his socialist past. In it, he argued that socialism was not only impractical, but also morally bankrupt. He condemned the Soviet Union as the most perfect tyranny in all history. Eastman's conversion to free market advocacy shocked many of his former allies in the socialist movement. He became a vocal critic of socialism and communism for the rest of his life. Throughout his life, Eastman remained a staunch opponent of war. He saw it as a senseless waste of human life. He believed that governments used war to consolidate power and crush dissent. Eastman's opposition to war stemmed from his deep-seated belief in the sanctity of human life and his commitment to individual liberty. Eastman's opposition to war extended from World War I to the Vietnam War. He saw the Vietnam War as another example of American imperialism. He condemned the draft and the bombing of North Vietnam. Eastman joined protests against the war. He spoke out against it in his writings. He believed that the United States should withdraw from Vietnam and allow the Vietnamese people to determine their own destiny. In the 1950s, the United States was gripped by the paranoia of McCarthyism. Senator Joseph McCarthy led a campaign to root out communists and socialists from American society. Initially, Eastman had supported the House Un-American Activities Committee and McCarthy's public attacks on the influence of communism. However, he soon came to believe that the anti-communist movement was taken over by reactionary forces who confused the quest of social justice with communist treason. This campaign often relied on baseless accusations and intimidation tactics. It created a climate of fear and suspicion. As a former socialist, he refused to be silenced by this wave of fear-mongering. He recognized the danger McCarthyism posed to freedom of thought and expression. Eastman spoke out against McCarthy's tactics. He defended the right of individuals to hold dissenting political beliefs without fear of persecution. His courageous stance made him a target of McCarthy's attacks. However, Eastman remained undeterred. He continued to champion the importance of civil liberties and intellectual freedom. Beyond his political and economic writings, Eastman was a passionate advocate for women's rights. He believed in gender equality and fought for women's suffrage. Eastman recognized the injustice of a system that denied women the right to vote and participate fully in society. Eastman's commitment to women's rights was not merely theoretical. He put his beliefs into action. He served as president of the Men's Equal Suffrage League in New York. He actively campaigned for women's suffrage. He used his writing to challenge traditional gender roles and advocate for women's equality. Eastman's support for women's rights was rooted in his belief that all individuals, regardless of gender, deserve equal rights and opportunities. Max Eastman was a prolific writer who explored a wide range of subjects. He wrote over 20 books on topics ranging from philosophy and psychology to literature and politics. Eastman's writing was characterized by its clarity, wit, and intellectual rigor. He had a knack for making complex ideas accessible to a wide audience. One of Eastman's most notable works is his study of humor, aptly titled The Sense of Humor. In this book, he delved into the psychology of humor. He explored the social and cultural factors that influence what people find funny. Eastman's analysis of humor was both insightful and entertaining. He believed that laughter was an essential part of the human experience. It provided a much-needed release from the stresses of everyday life. Max Eastman's life was a testament to the power of independent thought. He refused to be confined by ideological labels. He was willing to change his mind when presented with new evidence. Eastman's journey from socialism to free market advocacy is a reminder that intellectual honesty requires constant self-examination and a willingness to challenge one's own beliefs. Eastman's legacy is not defined by any single political stance, but by his unwavering commitment to intellectual integrity and his courageous defense of freedom of thought. He reminds us that it is through open inquiry, debate, and a willingness to engage with different perspectives that we can move closer to truth and understanding. We can only hope that more people take a page out of Eastman's book and have the courage and honesty to question their long-held beliefs. Thanks for watching.